Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Board Baobab. Happy New Year. I hope you're all going to have a great 2024 with a lot of board games. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about Forsaken. It's an upcoming board game and one I had the privilege of participating in their beta test. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts of everything I experienced on the beta test, as well as whether explaining what the game entails and whether giving you information for you guys to decide whether this game might be for you. Please do note, though, in the beta test, I was only able to play the solo mode. I wasn't able to play a multiplayer mode with other people. The time I was supposed to sit down with the creator as well as some other individuals in order to play the game, I unfortunately got a call from my parents at 12 o'clock in the morning telling me that their alarm is going off in their house and they're away and they need me to go check and make sure everything's all right. So unfortunately, I missed out on that and I was very upset about it. However, that's life. But I will be giving you a thorough review of the solo game, telling you how that works, as well as my thoughts of how it might be with other people. Forsaken is an immersive sandbox adventure game designed by Travis R. Chance and Michael Mielsick. Sorry, Michael, if I didn't pronounce your name right. I'm horrible at names. I have to also. Oh, man, come on, idiots. Pause, cancel. Start again. Uh, I have to let you guys know that although I've spoken to the creators and were allowed to share my experience and everything that I got up to in the beta test, I unfortunately can't share any of the tabletop simulator stuff that I have access to because it's all prototype stuff. They don't want anyone to get the wrong idea of what the final game's going to be. However, what I've experienced is pretty close to what the game is. I played through several different characters. I've had several different scenarios that have happened to me, and I'm very excited to let you guys know what this game's all about. So, starting off, Forsaken is an open box adventure game and sees you taking on one of several characters and trying to get them to become a legend in this space western sort of world. There are three planets that you visit to, and you become a legend by earning victory points. At the beginning of the game, the victory points are set, deciding on what, depending, sorry, not deciding, depending on what mode you're playing. Solo mode, you can basically have it on victory points on easy and it's a lot lower victory points in order to win, medium, and obviously then extremely hard. Also, if you're playing solo mode, you're put up against another character and they have their sort of own mechanic that works as the game goes out and they start gaining victory points and it becomes a sort of race between your character and their character. But in a standard game, what you're trying to do to gain these victory points is usually complete your character's storyline. At the beginning of the game, your character is given a small deck of cards and it sees you being tasked with completing certain feats. These feats can be going to certain locations, going from one location to another, or completing encounters, or completing missions from certain factions. You don't have to focus on your character's particular storyline. You can win other ways, though it's a very nice way to win because as you're going through each of these cards, there's a story linked to it, and you have an encounter guide. Whereas a card might say, read Z 102, and then you'll have a small paragraph of what's going on. And usually there's a choice, and you got certain dialogue options of you choose what your character is going to do. And it might see you get certain rewards for your choice or certain punishments for your choice. This also will see you unlocking certain abilities sometimes. So if we go to one of the characters down here, if you look over here, so these are one of the unlocked characters during the Kickstarter. Usually you go in a circle and there's certain abilities over here that each character unlocks. It's a bit different than the tabletop simulator stuff, but let's see if I can find maybe a closer up on there we go. So I don't know if we can see that over there. Let's see if we can zoom in. Unfortunately, no, we can't see anything over there. But certain things might be gain energy or gain certain items. But at the top over there, you can see that is victory points. And so when usually you do a full rotation on your character, they gain victory points. Everything is decided when it comes to conflict via the dice tower. The dice tower is a lot of fun. I've had a blast rolling things down there, and different equipment can also adjust things in the dice tower. For example, one encounter I had, which was one of my favorite moments, I was just losing, and I had a piece of equipment that allowed me to take a cube out of the dice tower after it had been rolled. So basically, it allowed me to take one of my enemy's most powerful results and take it completely off the board, which resulted in me winning the encounter. The encounters usually, when it comes to the dice tower, there are two sort of colors you're looking for. There's the blue and the red. The red is, from my understanding, if I remember correctly, damage, whereas the blue is sort of strength. And the main one is blue. If you have a higher number than your opponents, you win the encounter. However, the red is usually to see if you overwhelm your opponents. There's sometimes, if I remember correctly, if you're red, even if you've lost, but your red has managed to meet whatever the threshold is, each enemy has a different threshold sometimes with the red, then they get overwhelmed regardless and you win. It depends on the encounter. I can't give usually an exact result, but usually the blue is the one you're looking for, though the red gives you bonus rewards for winning the encounter if you succeed at meeting that threshold. So there are three different planets. The main planet is over here, and this is more the civilized area in the middle here. But the more you go further out into the other planets, things get bit more rough. If you see over here on the one planet, there are these little icons in between the spaces. Those indicate encounter cards. So each planet has its own encounter deck and sees you drawing from that encounter deck depending on where you've landed and ended your turn. Some encounters might be very nice and good. Some encounters might be tough and horrible. You also are able to meet different members from the factions, the three factions that are operating around the three different planets. And you're able to complete quests from them and then gain reputation with those different factions. Gain enough reputation, and you can buy specialized items, basically legendary items from those factions. Sometimes, though, also the missions they give you will reward victory points. Sometimes it gives you basically renowned that moves your marker around your character. And yeah, that's also another fun part. So what I really like is this branching out of options that you have. You don't have to follow your main quest story. You can just go out and start dealing with a particular faction if that's what you want to do. The other thing that you're able to do is go out and gather equipment. So you go out and basically you get scrap, and you get scrap multiple different ways. You start usually with a bit of scrap, and certain characters have certain amounts of wealth, starting wealth, as each character's origin is a bit different. For example, I believe his name's Soul. He kind of looks like a furbolg from what I've seen. He's let me see if I can find him here quickly. He's this character over here. Yeah, Soul Serum Quell. He's like an ex pop star, and he's tired of the pop star scene, so he wants to become a mercenary. And he starts, I believe, with quite a bit of high scrap. So there are two different types. There's the gray cubes, which is just ordinary scrap, and then there's the yellow or golden ones, which is a bit more higher grade, which is they're usually worth two on the black market. So you can trade them at a higher price, but usually it's the black market, which is on the outer planets, if I remember correctly. I believe it's this one over here, the non-green one, this blue one over here, that allows you basically the gold scrappers too. When you go mining for scrap, there's certain different locations where you can sort of mine it or gather it. There are tokens on that mine, and it moves to one of the other free tokens on one of the other mines over the different three planets. So you can't just sit there and mine it. It forces you to go out and explore more. When you get scrap, you basically have a little bag that's been shuffled, and you draw the cubes out of it, slotting them into your character board. This allows you to buy certain equipments that can do a huge number of things. Some of them add more dice to your rolls. Other ones allow you to shift your dice, moving them up and down. And like I said before, some can actually take dice completely out. I believe there is like some gold dice that are even more powerful. I can't remember if they are just special, if they have anything special and they're just an extra dice, but or if they do something extra off the top of my head, but they're another thing that's pretty cool. You also, with the little cubes, the little, I suppose they're dice, but they mainly are blank, but they have little like starbursts on them that are for critical hits, which basically you double whatever they land on. Whatever zone they land on, you double whatever is in that zone. Let's see if I can find an example. Yeah, so here's your scrap, and as you can see over here with Gametrays, everything is really fits nicely into the box. I've heard from people that Gametrays is great, not just with this, but they have a whole bunch of other things for a variety of different games. This is their first game they're actually creating. Usually they're just doing accessories. They're the six standard heroes that you get in the core box, and these are the expansions that add two characters extra per expansion. I don't see the dice. I must have. Oh, there they are. So these are the battle dice basically that you use, and they got these stars basically to show crits. Here are the standees that I was the of the factions that I was talking about. So the three over here are the three different factions, and they're constantly moving around the board. And one of your actions is basically to meet up with them, and then I believe it's called connecting. You're allowed to connect with a faction. You can also then go to their bases, and then you have to trade in that rep. And I believe you cannot. Now that I'm thinking about it, you also don't just trade it in for items. Sometimes you can just trade it in for victory points, if I remember off the top of my head. This standee over here is the bounty. So during the game, there is always a bounty out for a certain character. So if you look over here, can't really, whenever you're trying to find something, it just suddenly disappears. Well, while we're looking at this, you can see here's the different encounter cards, and there it basically shows what's happening for that encounter. And then they sometimes at the bottom over here, you can see they got three different options that they give you. These are the different spoils on the cards from the different factions. One thing to note about these items, the one part over here, that basically signifies how many dice you get to throw in the cube. The bottom over here is an extra added ability that you can actually attach. So if you have one item that is more powerful than another, you can basically flip it over and attach it to a piece of equipment, making that equipment a bit more powerful. Let's talk about defeats. So you're going to lose sometimes, particularly if you're going up and against an opponent that you're just not ready to fight yet, and you'll draw defeat cards. And there'll be severe penalties. You'll never die, but usually it will set you all the way back to no health and put you straight to the med center. The ruin cards over here is basically their ruins on the one planet. And if you have these sort of eye tokens, you're able then to explore these ruin cards and they'll give you certain benefits. Now, on characters, each character is also very unique. They have their own starting equipment, let alone their own starting class module. They also have their own abilities. For example, if you look at, forget his name, but Pierce over here, if I remember correctly, his ability is basically if you spend energy, you can use a location as if you were there. So he's very good at like connecting with different locations and just zooming around the board. Just note, you don't always have to, and I like that they've added this in, but they're different class modules that are completely not pertaining to any character. Sorry about that. That was my dog just going crazy for some reason. You can basically swap their own personal story for a completely unique story that can be slotted into any character. This means that there even more replayability with those characters. So if you've grown tired of their own personal storylines, you can always um, start with that character, but have it tailored to something different. Now, on what I like, so one of the things I really like are the characters themselves. The characters are all very charming. Their stories are very interesting, and I'm always keen to look into all of them. I haven't played with all the characters, but there's some that are just a lot of fun, like Water over here. I think that's her name. Yeah, Big Water. She is like a intergalactic trucker, and she has her two cubs that are following her around. Um, and you can unlock using those cubs, and they each do a different thing. The other thing I really like is the equipment. The equipment is great. It's all a lot of fun. I'm always finding myself not going to complete what I need to do and just trying to gain more and more equipment. For easy way to do that is, well, not an easy way. Very unique way to do that. Instead of saving up your scrap, you can go to the casino and basically blow your money. And if you win at the casino, you basically just get to pick an item out of the tray of the items that are drawn out that are available. You got like 5 items, I think, that are there for you to purchase. And that's a lot of fun. Um, Unlocking the like legendary equipment that are like extremely powerful from the different factions also really great. And What's also great is that you don't have to follow a specific path. You can go your own way and explore the world. Um, I haven't obviously played it with other people, but I think this would make it really exciting. And what's great is the stories. Each character, as well as each player, as they're going through and playing their turn, they're getting a bit of story and the different encounters reading, and you see their choices. And I think this is one thing I obviously haven't experienced, but I think will be great because some games you're sort of just sitting and waiting for the other person to get over on with their turn, maybe paying a bit of attention just to see what they're doing. But sometimes they're so busy just building their own little empires, you don't really care what they're doing. You're just planning out what you're going to do next. In this game, I think you're really going to be listening to all the different stories and seeing where everyone's going. From my understanding, if I remember correctly, PvP is possible. So you can sort of mess with each other. I am I stand to be corrected, but I think that is true. Um, yeah, so I think those encounters really are where the game shines, as well as the different personal stories of each character. What's also great that I haven't mentioned about their personal sort of story deck is that as you're getting rewarded, you're not just getting victory points sometimes, you're getting unlocking their own like certain abilities. Like if I remember correctly, the one character um, who's native and she seems to be part of, I think it's a she, part of this hive mind, and they're leaving like slime that slows the other players down along the board. Doesn't obviously affect her. Onto what I dislike is I think the movement is very slow. And I've seen other people within the beta test also comment on this. You only get like two moves, as in if you use a move action, you get three actions per turn. And if you use a move action, you can only move two spaces, which sometimes is it sees you using two actions just to get where you're wanting to go. I think, and I might house rule it's that you get to move three spaces. But yeah, that was one of the suggestions I put forward to them. Besides that, I think everything's great. I love the artwork. Um, the story's great. The mechanics are a lot of fun. Obviously, this I haven't played it multiplayer, and it might be a completely different experience. But I really enjoyed the solo. And to me, when the game isn't built as a solo game, and that's an extra, and the game is the main core of it is a multiplayer game, I would suspect that it would be better at a multiplayer level. So, where does this leave you? Should you be getting this game? Well, that at the end of the day is a you decision to make. Um, you always must back responsibly. Um, don't blow your rent money on a board game. You'll be able to live without it. But if you are looking for a game that is more sandbox and open world and that you'll get a lot of value out of it, I think this is definitely up there. One thing I also need to mention, they are also releasing a sort of app. I can't remember the company. I think it's called Fortune Teller, who have an audio sort of. They play audio for the different parts of the cards. So if you draw the card and it says read Z103, you can hit on the app 103 and fully voice acted um, fully voice acted speech will be played for you, which I think will definitely immerse you and your group into the world. And yeah, at the end of the day, I rate this very highly. It's one of my favorite games from last year, even just as solo playing. And I'm really looking forward to this getting to my door. I have fully backed it. I originally just got the core box and one of the expansions. And then after doing the beta test, I went full all in with the app, the audio. I don't know what you call it, the audio backing. So one thing to just look at prices. This is still available as of this moment. It might change, but you can still late pledge this game. I think it will be on GameFound. But if we go to the top here, I believe, yeah, you can late pledge now, and I think it will take you straight to um, GameFound. Yeah, so you'll go straight to GameFound, and then you can late back there. So just to give you a bit more notification, $129 just for the core box. That's the core box as well as all the stretch goals. They were going to do a thing where you had to back during the campaign. However, they changed that, and I believe now you'll get Forsaken core box, all unlocked bonus content. So you will get those 2 extra characters, which is Water and Nine, this character, as well as all the other extra stuff, which is really great. And for $129, I think it's a pretty solid price for everything you're getting. It's a very deluxeified game. All goes into the box very nicely from what I've been told. And then if you're feeling like you need to get a bit more, then the expansions are there for only $25 for extra characters. It's not too bad. I've seen other games that's basically $10 per an extra character, and this is as well as several new encounter cards, as well as another module. You see the off-world scavenger module for this expansion, and this one over here that adds another module as well as more reserve and encounter cards. Which one should you get? Once again, it's all personalized. Personally, I like the Stray. He sort of lost his memory and he doesn't know anything, and he's sort of this ex-mercenary military guy or secret agent. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I really liked his story, and I found him a very cool character to play with. I also like this character here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce their name, but this is the one that leaves like slime around, which is a lot of fun. The only reason I got them over these ones is because the one character who I've played with recently, this one over here, Cold, she is sort of very interesting story, but she's a convict that has been released on parole, and this is not exactly spoilers. It's the first thing you basically read, and she has this pod patrol officer that's following her around, and you sort of have to get away from the patrol officer. And because if the patrol officer gets to you, basically, I think you draw a lot of injury or infamous cards, which and a lot of negative stuff happen to you if the pod's token gets to you and they're constantly chasing you around the board. The one nice thing about it is that you can swap places, basically like teleport swap with the pod depending where it is. So it's very nice if you're on one end of the planet and you want to get fastly back to another location, you can swap with the pod and then get to wherever you need to go. I just found the reason why I say I'm less inclined to get her if I was picking is just because I found that quite difficult. It's a very difficult character to play with. But it's very nice to have those difficult characters if you're used to a game and you want to challenge yourself and sort of pick up a harder, more difficult character. So, with all that said and done, I'll give a final rating for this game. So, to add my rating for this game, obviously this is just the solo mode because that's all I played. I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. It's a fantastic game, a lot of fun, even just to play by yourself. Can't speak to setting up and everything like that, but I would assume it's quite a bit of setup because I only played this on Tabletop Simulator, but thoroughly enjoyed every time I played this game. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a great 2024. Let me know in the comments what next you want to see. I'm probably going to do another playthrough of something. Still got plenty of Marvel Zombies that I need to go through. I got different Final Girl stuff that I still need to go through, and I have Cthulhu Death May Die that I am wanting to get to the table. So let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. Also, exciting, my stretch goals and expansions for Marvel Zombies is on its way. So you can all look forward to that. So thank you so much. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Always just helps me with the algorithm. And I'll see you all next time. Keep growing, guys. Cheers.